Hello everyone, I hope all is well. It is April 29th and around 4 p.m. Eastern I decided to fly back to Taiwan for work during the pandemic. So I was lucky to get a free upgrade to business class because of my United status. The only lounge open was the United Lounge and I decided to check that out. Looks like there's no more open bar and self-service buffet, but there are a few snacks for me to pick up. So on the runway, there's still quite a lot of flights coming out of IAD. I think there were around 5 or 6 planes lined up in front of us before we took off. From what I hear, a lot of airliners are still having flights just so that they could space out passengers between each flight. One thing I liked about United was that they left some seats empty so that passengers don't have to sit next to each other. So on my flight, the flight attendants had masks and gloves. Even though they had the masks on, I saw some of them take them off during the flight so that they could talk to each other. I think that defeats the whole purpose of having a mask and all these safety precautions. They still had a food and beverage service on flight. For the drinks, they handed you a can of whatever you wanted and bottled water. And for food, they had snack boxes for you to purchase. I ended up getting the tapas box. It's one of my favorites. It has several varieties of spreads. This is a cheese spread, pretty tasty. Some tomato spread, almost tastes like tomato sauce. And some sourdough crackers that you could cut your teeth and mouth on. And olives. This is one of my favorites in the box. And let's see, some more dipping sticks and some hummus. I could just spoon that into my mouth by the spoonful. And gin-gins. This was quite refreshing. As I flew into LAX, I noticed a really weird thing. There was actually no traffic on the highways. There's barely any cars. I was wondering if I really landed in LA. I had a 4-hour layover at LAX, so I decided to head up to the United Club. There's usually a lot of people at the lounge. This is one of the biggest lounges that I've visited. Because of the pandemic, one of the workers told me that I was the 10th person to visit all day. The lounge served the same food as the lounge in IAD, just cookies and bottled water. Before boarding the flight, they checked everyone's temperature and made sure that you did not have a fever. They also made you fill out a form online to submit your travel details to the government. I noticed that all the flight attendants had personal protective equipment on, such as masks, a gown, and gloves. Good job on Eva and Taiwan for having their airlines have protective equipment.
We have just landed at Taiwan Taipei International Airport. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the fasten seatbelt sign has been turned on.
That was a pretty pleasant flight, even though it was long and I didn't eat anything. They still offered regular meal and beverage service to the passengers, but a lot of people chose not to eat or drink anything on the flight, or even go to the bathroom. Upon exiting the gate, I had to pick up a card stating that I did not come from a country that had a risk of swine flu. This is to skip through the luggage inspections to see if you brought in any pork products. I noticed that there were actually a lot of people in full-on protective gear. The most interesting ones I saw were the ones with ski goggles, a trash bag, and gas masks. On my way to immigration, there were signs that had instructions and QR codes for what forms to fill out. These forms are required for all people, and this is to keep track of where you are going to be quarantined. Taiwan is tracking people based off their cell phone location, and every day there is someone to check up on you by the local council to see if you are indeed staying at your place. If not, the police will come find you. When I went to get my luggage, I noticed that they disinfected all of the suitcases coming out of the conveyor belt. Small details like this shows that Taiwan is taking this pandemic seriously to keep its people safe. The arrivals hall is now empty. You can only have family members pick you up, rent a car, hire a private driver, or get a taxi. At the taxi stand, I saw a worker spray down everyone's luggage and personal bags. They also sprayed down each passenger from head to toe with alcohol. The taxi stand also required you to show them the health declaration form you filled out from the QR code. The taxi ride from Taoyuan to my hotel in Beitou was around 40 minutes and cost around 1400 NT. I decided to quarantine at one of the government-approved hotels. These hotels meet the strict regulation guidelines set by the government to ensure the health and safety of everyone in the building. I chose Loft Beitou for its quiet location, scenery, and food. I'll have a walkthrough of the hotel and room in another video. Well, thanks for watching my video. Remember to like and subscribe, as I will have more content about my quarantine life in the hotel.